Ladies and gentlemen, very welcome once more at our TV station Costa del Sol. Today for me is a very special day to have the luck to invite somebody who is in, let's say, in the showbiz world, but not in Spain, not only in maybe England, but some other countries as well. His name is David Frey. I just want to welcome you very much, David.
Thank you, Willem.
And thanks for being here, receiving you at home. So I would like to have the first question if possible. If we return to your country, where you come from, that's England. Where exactly was that, please?
So, I was born in Broseley, which is in Shropshire, which is on the England-Wales border. But at the age of 2, I moved to Liverpool with my mum and dad, and they were from Liverpool. So I consider myself a Liverpudlian.
How do you say that? The people from Liverpool?
Liverpudlian.
Oh well, that's difficult.
Okay. And David, to grow up in that famous city, because I mean, if we speak about Liverpool, when I was young, wow, I was, very proud that those 4 guys living there. And I said, how was that for you? How was it growing up there?
Well, this is terrible, really, if I admit this. But for me, I was a teenager in the 70s.
Oh, just after, yeah.
So for me, anything from the 60s was old-fashioned. So I grew up listening to T-Rex or the glam rock music, and anything from the 60s, including the Beatles, had absolutely no interest for me. It's only when I got older
and you get wiser that you start to appreciate, oh, they were quite good, weren't they? So I have to admit, I didn't get it, and I was too young during the Beatles' rise to fame. But then as I got older, I appreciated them. And then we had other music coming from the city. The city is very famous for lots of music.
Yep.
And I grew up in a home where my parents sang all the time. So that for me was normal, and everybody sang when we got together, or somebody played the piano or the guitar.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so my brother played the guitar. I went to piano lessons. Of course, I was terrible, but I went every week.
But you nearly did some jam sessions at home.
Well, we did a karaoke once as a family, and they were Beatles songs. So yeah.
Wow, very nice. Very nice to hear that, really. I mean, I can imagine, even if they were not your stars, just walking around in Liverpool and did you ask your mum and dad to say, who are those 4 guys there with a statue?
Well, yeah. Well, that was the other thing. So I was too young for the Beatles, and my parents were just a little bit too old. So my mum...
just passed by.
Yeah, my mum liked Bing Crosby.
Here you go.
And he wasn't from Liverpool. So,
no.
There was a total disconnect with our family because of the time. So yeah.
Okay. Was it just your feeling, David, or your mum and dad? You just told a little bit about it. Had they the influence to you what you are today?
I would say absolutely yes, because my dad, he was from a family where there were 9 brothers and sisters. So in those days, there were big families, and a lot of Irish people had moved to Liverpool. So that's where my ancestry is, really. And Ireland, as we know, is a musical nation, poetic nation. But my dad, he worked for his dad in a dance hall. It was very famous in the city, and that's where he met my mum. So my dad, it was his job to, if you like, go over to the ladies and show them how to dance. The waltz, the foxtrot, whatever it was. And that's where my mum and dad met. And then they both became ballroom and Latin dance teachers. So that was unusual. So of course I grew up with that as a background, of course unaware of it as a child. But as you grow up, you realize, oh yeah, there's musicality, there's rhythm, there's all of that eventually comes through when you grow up as an adult and in what you choose to do. So for me, when I went into theatre, and my brother, he went into hospitality. So we both went into the fields of entertainment.
Yeah. Beautiful world, by the way. On what age, David, you discovered and asked yourself, do I have talent for music, theatre?
Oh, that's a good question.
Was that young? Was that too young? Was that later?
I tell you what
tell me
happened.
about it.
I tell you what happened when I was at school. I discovered I had a gift for languages. That was what I wanted, because I didn't realize, but I wanted to travel. So I think I first went abroad when I was 11, which was probably quite old then, because nowadays it's commonplace for young children to go abroad. But I hadn't been abroad. And at 11, I went abroad with school, and I think it was Belgium. And I just realized, oh, this is what I like to do. I like to hear these foreign languages and see these different customs. So then I chose to learn German and French. And then that allowed me to go abroad, which I wanted to do. So at 18, instead of going to university, I took 3 years to travel abroad. So I went to Paris, I went to Germany, and I went to Austria. So I kind of found where I wanted to be, but I didn't realize at that point that I would end up in theatre. So I think like a lot of
still away.
Yeah, like a lot of people at 18, they don't know what they want to do or what they want to be.
You want to discover first.
Yeah. And so then after the traveling, and I went to Germany on an exchange program, and all the people on it, they were then going to Oxford or Cambridge. So that influenced me. So I then chose to go to Oxford. At the time, it was the Polytechnic, because I wanted to study German and psychology. I don't know why. In fact, I couldn't get in on the psychology course. I had to get in on anthropology. I didn't even know what it was. But I signed up for it, and then I changed quickly to psychology. And then after university, that's when I was able to find a job in theatre.
Wasn't it, that's strange, isn't it? I mean, you go to Oxford and you come from wherever, you study, and after that you say, hey, maybe my world is music, just music, theatre.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, kind of, but I had always gone to the theatre.
Okay.
So
Here it is.
From a young age.
Yeah.
And the very first theatre I went to is also the theatre I became the manager of later on. So that was quite unusual for that to happen. But I used to go all the time. And in the 70s and 80s, Liverpool was producing lots of talented artists and great shows in the theatres. And I found that actually I loved reading, and reading a play was so much easier than reading a novel. So I read lots of them. So I knew all the plays before I'd even gone to see them.
Well done, well done. And did you do theatre studies, or how did you get into the theatre career?
No theatre studies, because I didn't know that was
It's
what I
just in
wanted to
here.
do. I had no idea. And then a job came up
Yeah,
as the
yeah.
assistant theatre manager. So I applied and I got it. And I didn't study for it, but I learnt on the job. And the assistant theatre manager basically does everything, really, because the theatre manager goes, you can do this, you can do that. So I was front of house, I was behind the bar, I was marketing, I was selling tickets. So I did everything. So I learned everything you needed to learn. And then when my boss, she retired, so I then became the manager, and I realized at that point, actually what I want to do is program the theatre. And the theatre I worked in was a home for amateurs. So it's a little bit like the Salon Varieties in Fuengirola.
Okay.
It's a bit like that. And then I started and I thought, well, there's nothing to stop us doing professional shows. So that's what I did. And I was there, I think, for 5 years. And the theatre became very successful. In fact, it became so successful that our Christmas show, which was always a pantomime, I had to move it to a much bigger theatre. And at that point, I realised I've outgrown
That's
this
mine.
theatre and I have to move on. And that's when I started travelling again and moved to the next theatre.
And that's coming up just for the next question. So you had to leave Liverpool and look for other horizons.
Yes. And the other horizon was Bracknell in Berkshire. Now, had I known, I don't know whether I'd have gone. Bracknell it was one of those new towns. So it didn't have any pavements, it just had roundabouts and
Where is that
trees.
exactly?
Bracknell is in Berkshire, so it's, how can I describe it? It's near Reading, and it's also near Ascot, where the famous horse race is, and it's near Windsor. So the nice thing about Bracknell was you could go to Windsor.
Okay.
But I worked there for 2 years, and that was great. That's where I really learnt.
What was your age then?
Oh gosh, I must have been late 30s then when I moved there. So yeah, and then the beauty of that venue was we had lots of different spaces. A theatre, a recital room, we had extensive grounds for a festival, we had a cinema,
It was all for you there?
we had a gallery. That was great.
Yeah.
So I could do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So I loved all of that. But I only survived really for 2 years, because then something really exciting came along, and they were building a brand new art centre in Salford, and it was going to be the Lowry. So in 2000, this fantastic modern building opened in Salford, which was the pride of the city, because it housed all the Lowry paintings, because Lowry was from the city, and it had 2 theatres, and I became the director of programming there. So that was great. That was a big venue, so we did all the big shows, the National Theatre, Opera North,
Oops.
Birmingham
Super.
Royal Ballet, and then international shows. So that was fantastic. So I loved all of that.
It sounds beautiful, really. And during your career, during your years of theatre, any celebrities?
Oh gosh, well, yeah, there were you would usually meet all the celebrities because I would make a point of going to welcome them. So whoever was in the shows at the time. So there were people like Joan Collins that everybody knows, for instance.
Yeah.
And she was so nice. Because you imagine she might be a bit of a diva. She was so nice. And I just remember her saying, did they like me? And I thought, well, it doesn't matter whether they liked you or not, but the fact was they loved you.
Yeah, yeah.
She was on stage for two and a half
if
hours.
they come to see you,
They came to see you,
Yeah, you
not
go.
the play. They came to see you.
yeah.
And then I met all the comedians because we did a lot of comedy. So the likes of Paul O'Grady or Eddie Izzard or, gosh, there were so many. And it was great to meet them and the comedians usually were quite shy and reserved, and they only came alive on stage.
Here you go. That's that vision I have as well, and I had that feeling as well from people I knew, that it seems that when they are on stage, they change 100%. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's when they come alive.
That's when they come alive. So this all means for you, David. You said it already before, but you traveled a lot.
I travelled a lot, yeah, I did. And at the Lowry, I had to go and look for shows. So,
Yeah.
because we did international work, so companies like Robert Lepage would come to Salford, or a lot of the dance shows, you had to go and see them first because you didn't know what they were going to be like.
Sure.
A play, you would know. A dance show, you wouldn't know. You had to see it. So I was very lucky because I would be invited to dance festivals because the artists wanted to be in the UK. So I traveled a lot, Barcelona, Amsterdam, Berlin. There was one time I went to a festival in Okinawa.
Oh, wow.
That was the furthest I'd been. I went to see a children's festival.
Okinawa, Japan.
Yes,
Wow.
the island off Japan.
Yeah.
And I went to see a company, Teatro Kismet, from Italy. And I invited them to Salford. And they were a beautiful company for young children.
Nice.
So I was very lucky. I went to Australia to see work. I went to lots of places. Canada.
So the 5 continents.
Pretty much, yeah. It was great. I loved it.
Nice to hear that. And yeah, well, that creates, I may imagine, your passion for the languages, because German, French, English, any other language?
Well, I'm very careful about laying claim to speaking Spanish.
Well, it's going
I
well. It's going
do
well.
my best.
You do your best.
Let's say I do my best. But living here in Andalusia, the local way of speaking, the local dialect is difficult for a foreigner.
To get it, yeah.
So I might be able to come out with a sentence or two, but a local, when they respond, I pretty much have no idea.
They eat a lot of letters.
They eat a lot of letters and they understand me,
Oh yes, they do.
which is great.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
And recently I've had meetings in Malaga at the theatre, and I've had conversations in Spanish. So I'm very happy and confident in how I can make myself understood, but the other way round is a bit more difficult.
I think if you are really in a conversation with friends, just all of them are Spanish,
Yeah.
I'm sure you get the clue very, very quickly, and it comes out like, okay, he's foreigner, but he's doing well. I'm sure about that.
And it doesn't matter that I don't know all the words, because
No, of
there's
course not.
always another
Yeah.
word to get you from A to B.
Yep.
So you can explain yourself.
And they help as well.
Yeah.
They're very helpful here. If they feel that you are trying to speak their language, they are happy with that.
And I love it.
And you love
I
it, exactly.
love speaking a different language.
It is,
so
yeah.
what I found difficult, this time last year I went to France, and my French is much better. And I went and I would start the sentence in French and finish it in Spanish because my brain was so used to translating into Spanish that it couldn't deal with the French.
No.
And suddenly I'd lost the ability to speak French. But it didn't matter.
Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, of course not. And after visiting all kind of different countries, what you said, and cities, of course, is this your favorite place, or
Yeah.
is this the place you really like for the moment?
Yeah. I love, how shall I put this? I love Malaga. I love it. I love Marbella. I love the fact that we are so close to Granada, Cordoba, Sevilla, all these beautiful cities. They're all on the doorstep.
We are in a magnificent Andalusia, I think.
We are,
There
I
is
mean,
everything.
you know, if it is a kind of paradise.
It is.
And I'm happiest in the mountains, but being close to the sea is quite special and practical in the summer when it gets so hot, because we see everyone inland coming to the coast
Yep.
to cool down.
Yeah.
So I love the fact you got the mountains, you got the sea, you got these beautiful white villages. I mean, it's fantastic. My favorite place, I have to say, is Tarifa, because of the beaches and the lovely little town. So
A little bit too much wind, but that's Tarifa.
it's yeah.
But you're right. The sand there is white. It's amazing.
Yeah,
We
but
have
if I didn't live here, I think it would be the south of France.
Okay.
Yeah.
Saint-Tropez and
Well, yeah.
well, a bit more
Saint-Tropez-
inside maybe, because
Saint-Tropez, yeah, who knows?
it's a bit too expensive probably.
Yeah, there's something about the French way of life. Again, it comes back to the language. It's such a beautiful language. And then you've got the food, you've got the
L'amour.
wine, you've got everything. They're so stylish.
Spain is different, but France has as well his beauty.
Spain is more fun.
I think so, yeah.
It's more fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that means, David, you're happy as a resident in our country.
Yes, I have to say, I couldn't think of living in a better place, and being able to work from here. That's the best thing.
That's the most important thing. Yeah.
So working here for the UK it's heaven, pretty much.
Agree with that. I would like to come back to your profession. We're talking about the profession nearly the whole program, but you worked at many different theaters. What is your favorite place to work?
So I guess it's the one where I am now, which is I work for Sadler's Wells, which is in London, and that's the dance house really for the UK.
Okay.
And it's my particular job to program the Peacock Theatre, which is part of the Sadler's Wells group. And the Peacock Theatre is in the West End. So I get to program a West End theatre. And that's very rare, because if you think about it, the West End theatres, they might have a show. It could be The Lion King. It could be Mamma Mia. And it just runs and runs and runs. So nobody really programs
and
it.
then it's packed every night.
And they're packed every night. So whoever programs those venues, that's the job done. And then they have to wait 5 years, 10 years before the next show. But I get to change the program regularly. So in 1 year, there might be a dozen or 15 shows. So there would be a big musical, a West End musical. Then there'd be dance shows from around the world, usually South America, Spain, France, Holland. Then we'd have our Strictly shows, so based on the Strictly Come Dancing TV shows, so all the stars would appear at the Peacock, so Johannes or Giovanni or Anton. So that's great fun. And our Christmas show is very famous. It's the Snowman, which of course all English families know. It's very famous in the UK, and that's now run for 25 years at the Peacock, and it's never going to end. And that is the first show for young children to experience theatre. So from the age of 3 or 4, that's their first experience. And it's great to see them enjoying this special ballet.
So you make musicals from, let's say, 4, 5 years, maybe younger, 3 years, up till whatever.
To what the beauty of the Peacock is the diversity of the program. So 1 minute you could have South African Road Trip, which is about song and dance from South Africa with people from the townships. That's really quite special. And then in the next minute there'll be a flamenco show, and strangely enough, you know, in Andalusia, that's all you get to see.
Yeah.
And this month there's a flamenco gala in Malaga, which I'll go and see, and then that's coming to Sadler's Wells. So there's actually a good reason to be here as well, because shows that are created here end up in the UK.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that is great.
That's fantastic.
It is great.
David, we now are in 2023. It all runs very fast. But where would you think to be, let's say, in 4, 5, 6 years?
Gosh, that's another good question. So where will I be? Hopefully I'll be here. Hopefully. There are still things I want to do with the Peacock programme, because I've only been in the job 4 years, and then the pandemic came along. Yep. And we had to close for 18 months. So my program was put on hold. And it was my intention to position the Peacock alongside the other big West End theatres, so that everyone would be talking about it. So I've only just started on that trajectory. And we have started doing the West End musicals like Saturday Night Fever, Bat Out of Hell, Rocky Horror. Then next year everybody's talking about Jamie. And then in 2025, because we work so far ahead, there is potentially a spectacular new musical going to open there. So I've still got work to do. But once I've done it all, I'll look at it and go, right, my work is done.
It's done, yeah.
So maybe I'll just relax.
Then this question, probably you could give a good answer on it. David, can you advise others who will watch this program adopt your lifestyle? Is there a possibility?
Well, of course. but you have to put your mind to it. And when I was at the Lowry, I just knew I had to go and live abroad, and I didn't know how I was going to do it because I needed to be there. So what I did, I got in touch with a life coach, and the life coach, we met up maybe 3-4 times, and she would say, so what is it you want to do? And I would say, well, I want to go and live abroad, but I don't know how to do it because I still need to work and I want to do this job. So she would make me go away and think about how I could make it possible. So I left my job at the Lowry to become freelance. So that meant I could work for another theatre, but they didn't expect me to be in the office all the time. So I then discovered working from home. And then working from home led to, where's my home going to be? And technology allowed us to do that.
Yep.
And strangely,
Absolutely, yeah.
the pandemic, also suddenly there was a shift. Everybody had to work from home. So I said to my boss, well, my home's going to be Spain. Is that okay? And he said, yeah, as long as you're here for the opening nights.
Here you go.
So every month I have to fly back to London. I'm there for the opening nights. So in that sense, it works for me. So I get to work from here and relax here. And then I go back to London and I have the excitement of the West End. And then I get to see other shows. So that really...
And when the door closed, you go back again here, and that must be inside, giving you
Yes.
a big rest.
It's great, it's great. And especially the British weather, you know?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
We
yeah.
all know,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all know, October through to April,
Yeah,
yeah,
forget it.
don't forget it, forget it.
Yeah.
And I think that got to me. It gets to a lot of people and they go, look, I need to see a blue sky, you know? So coming back here, you're pretty much guaranteed.
That's absolutely sure. So you are, so far as I know, very, very happy, just what you said here on the Costa del Sol. But if it could be another place, you said before Tarifa, that is maybe another possibility. If it's not here, right, Malaga area, another area for you to say it is Spain or it's outside Spain, or is Spain the country that you say, for me it's okay here?
I think Spain has got everything.
I think so too.
It's just got everything.
Yeah.
And it's got lovely people, lovely weather. It's got great cities, you know? It's got fantastic countryside, amazing beaches.
It is.
It has got everything.
Yeah.
So
That's
I-
why
I
they all
can't-
come.
it's why everybody comes.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. But to appreciate it, you have to learn the language.
It's a must, David.
It's no good coming
People who
here.
don't do that, I mean,
They're missing out. They're
Yes.
really missing out
yes.
because there are so many Spanish who don't speak English. And why should they? You know, this is their country. They speak Spanish.
Yeah, they come here and they say, oh, they speak English, and well, it's just for yourself to say 100 words, 200 words maybe, and you feel so much better if you can have a conversation with a Spanish person.
You feel so good.
I
You
know.
feel so
I know,
good.
yeah.
And when you speak to local people who don't don't speak any English, then that's even better, because otherwise you wouldn't have had that conversation and you wouldn't have got to get to know them.
Yep.
So, and that's true of anywhere, wherever you go. So when I used to travel around the world, so of course I didn't speak Japanese, but I would learn a sentence so I could introduce myself, or how do you do, or please, or thank you. That really the basics.
They will say thank you so much.
But
They will-
everybody,
of course.
everybody should do that wherever they
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
And living here, my neighbours, German, Danish, Swedish, Dutch, British, Spanish,
There's everything.
they're from everywhere. And that's the beauty of the Costa del Sol. So it's not just a place where the Brits go for a holiday.
No, no, no.
The
definitely
people
not. Yeah.
who choose to live here are from everywhere. And you don't get that
That's a
in
very
other
good,
places.
very good description.
So you get to meet all the different cultures,
Yeah.
and you realise everybody's the same. We are all the same. You know, there might be some characteristics we all joke about, but deep down, everyone is the same. And the people that choose to live here, you know, it's great. It's great to be here.
100% agree. David, we're coming very slowly to the end. Is there anything what is left you would like to mention and what I forgot to ask you?
I think we've probably touched on most things. I would just say I've been very lucky with the career I've had. I get paid to go and sit in a theatre and watch a show.
Yeah.
And when
That's
I
what
tell
you want.
people that, they go, "You get paid to watch a show?" I go, yes, yes. But then after that, it's my decision to then present that show. And it's my job to do the negotiation to get that show into the theatre. So that's what I love to do. And at the end of the day, I can go to my theatre for the opening night and I can look around at the audience and I see them on their feet at the end of the show. And I think, oh, I've done a good job here. So I've played a small part in making lots of people happy, if you like. But that makes me, in return, very happy
Of course.
and content. And even better when it's a brand new show
Yeah,
that no one's
Yeah,
ever
yeah, yeah.
seen before, which we do a lot of. So
That must give you a real kick.
it's great. And to be involved with the creation of that show in the very beginning,
Yeah.
because it can take 3 or 4 years before it gets to the stage. So I'm really happy with that, and even happier that I can do it from here.
And maybe some thoughts to do something here?
Yeah, I would love to. I would really love to. So I go to the Salon Varieties in Fuengirola, which I mentioned. And that's largely, well, it's amateurs who live here, but they're usually very talented. So if you go and watch a musical at the Salon Varieties, it's top quality. The singing features West End stars, people who've lived and performed in the West End, but then, like me, decided we want blue skies.
Yes.
So they live here,
Yeah.
and then they perform here. So I would love to be involved with that in some way. So I've already had discussions with them about maybe helping them in some way with, I don't know what, with the programming. And then I went to the Soho Theatre in Malaga and met with the director there. So that is the theatre that Antonio Banderas has created. So that's quite new for them, and they're putting on musicals and they're putting on different shows. So I've had a conversation with them about maybe bringing some of the dance from Sadler's Wells to Malaga, but this may take a little time.
Yeah, it's not going in one day.
No,
Not.
it won't. And in Malaga, they're very, it's great for visual arts, but the theatre is a little bit behind. But the new Soho Theatre is opening the doors to local people seeing musicals and drama that they've never been able to see before. So it's about slowly moving forward so that Malaga can become a place that's talked about, you know, after Madrid and Barcelona. Why not?
It's since the last 5-6 years, or even a little bit more, Malaga is becoming very creative. And I applaud that a lot, because Malaga is maybe one of the cities at the moment for any kind of foreigners who wants to come to Spain. So that could be the city, and it could be for you as well, a new, different audience. I think it's a good idea to go in with them and to see if there's another beautiful, how do you say that? A beautiful, not sketch, a beautiful programs coming out, what you can make with those people together. So let's hope all that, David, that it will be coming out for you. And I wish you all the luck with your music theater and maybe your other plans like those in Malaga or even wherever in Andalusia or Barcelona. Thank you so much for being here with us on our TV station Costa del Sol. And I would like to thank you watching the programs. Thank you so much for watching, David Frey. And we would say 14 days later, we're back again, same time, same level. Thank you so much and have a good day.